Hey CoastLife, how are all my history buffs out there? We have a little something special for you today. We are at the Ryves Holt House Museum and Mercantile right here in Lewes. To say it's been here for a while is probably discounting it, so let's bring in. We got Dawson Gerke, and Dawson, first of all, give us the skinny on this outfit.
Well, the outfit is from 1770, so it's pretty old, but the building is even older. It actually goes back to the 1680s, making it the oldest building in Delaware to still be on its original foundation. It's been here since the 1680s.
So for people that want to come and check out the museum, what are some of the things here that they're going to see, and what makes this place so special?
Well, there's a few different aspects to it. One is the old architecture. You can see actually a lot of the cool architecture throughout the building, including wallpaper that dates back to the 1800s, but infrastructure from the 1600s when this was the Russell's Tavern. The main focus of the building is really going to be about Jacob Jones.
So let's go over and find out a little bit more about him, because it's got this great setup right here. What are we learning in this section?
Yeah, so these are the various people throughout Jones's life. And this is actually a school desk from the era that he would have gone to school in Lewes. Now, before he's a big shot naval hero, he's actually growing up in Lewes watching the Revolutionary War, wanting to be a naval hero, and then the war ends. So his exhibit's here because this is actually his childhood home that we are in right now, the Ryves Holt House.
And so he goes from watching all of this, being inspired, wanting to be a part of it, and then later in life does in fact become his own sort of hero. Let's learn a little bit about it, and I believe we're this way.
Yeah. So right in here, this is kind of made to look like what would be his ship's quarters, because he was the master commandant of the Wasp. And this was during the War of 1812. The United States was considered an inferior navy. The British weren't very worried about us. But the Wasp actually manages to overtake the Frolic, which is a stronger, bigger vessel with a fully trained British crew. This is incredible for American morale. This is devastating to British morale, up until the point where the Poitiers, another British vessel, comes and reclaims both the Frolic and Wasp. But still, it cemented Jones's history, and that's why you'll see coins of him and such things here, including we actually have an original writing desk, the exact kind that would have been on his ship in his captain's quarters while he was overseeing the crew of the Wasp.
So you know all about this place. Is there anything that is your specific favorite little nugget or piece of history here?
I would say my favorite thing about Jones is his late start in life. If you look at midshipmen, you're talking about a lot of ship's boys. This is people often 12 to 14. Jones doesn't become a midshipman until he's 30. And despite that fact, he still becomes a commandant. He still is in charge of an entire fleet. And I think that's just really impressive.
Well, we love what you guys have going here. If you want to come down and check out what is happening in this great museum, I think you should do it, because things like this are unusual. I know it's the first town in the first state, but even here, this is the oldest building that exists. So if you want to learn a little history, check it out. We're going to learn a bit more right after the break. We are at the Ryves Holt House Museum and Mercantile. We've already talked to you a little bit about the museum part. We're about to get into the mercantile, but first I want to show you something really interesting. Look at this line in the house right here. You can actually see where two different buildings were kind of Frankenstein together to make one. Now, the oldest parts of this building go all the way back to 1686, but let's go inside now and see that mercantile portion as we enter the building and we come and talk to our new friend, Jen Wagner. And Jen, you run this show here. Tell us a little bit about the mercantile side of things.
Absolutely. So we are a modern mercantile. We're based off of a mercantile that was here in the 1700s that was run by Mary Huggs. And she would have had, we have historical examples of what she would have had along the top. And we have a modern mercantile. We have 20 local artists, and we have all genres of art. And 20% of our sales go back to the Historical Society to help them with whatever they need.
So how do you guys find the local artists that you display, that you use here? How does that happen?
So all of them have been selected, juried into other shows locally, and being an artist myself and doing local shows, I've met all of them that way. I have put out calls for entry, and people have also come in and just talked to me.
When guests come in, when customers come in, what is the thing that they tend to gravitate to, or how does the experience typically go?
You know, it varies. Since Christmas, we have had the tree. That's a big focus, I think, because it's little things that people can take home and remember Lewes by. Definitely, we always have the jewelry. We have 4 local jewelers here, and then the first thing people notice when they walk in is how good it smells, and that's going to be Carrie's soap right here. And another thing that we do is for everybody that is in the gallery, we have a card that will show you who actually made that product. So you can touch almost anything and be able to see who made it and something about them.
So Jen, you are an artist yourself. What kind of art do you do, and do you actually have it on display anywhere in here?
I do. So I actually have some public art in Lewes as well. So if you go to the George Smith Park, the George Smith Memorial, the bronze, I did that. So I'm a bronze artist, sculptor, and a jeweler. And so a lot of my pieces will be on this side, but not exclusively. I've got 3 other artists on this side as well. One of the things that I like to do are the more complicated pieces that are actually, that move or are in some way interactive. While this isn't jewelry, it's a little sculpture that you can play with.
That is so cool. How long does it take to build something like that?
Well, this particular one is a little bit complex, and it's made out of gold, silver, and bronze, so it's a little pricey, and it takes a long time. There's a lot of practice, a lot of years of practice, and then a lot of hours of work.
Well, that's the combination, right? It's
Right.
the years of being good at this, getting better at this, learning over time, and then putting in the time with this specific material. What is it that makes you like working here? What is it that makes you like wanting to be a part of this history in this town?
Absolutely. So I have had more fun getting to know the neighbors because people have walked by this building, and I've heard so many times people say, I've never even been in here. I didn't know what it was. I didn't know anything about the Historical Society. And we've been able to share that, and it's been fun to meet the neighbors, and it's been great to build this community of artists who don't necessarily have another opportunity to show on 2nd Street. And we are in downtown Lewes. It's a wonderful opportunity for them. And we're just very happy to give back to the Historical Society as well. So see a need, fill a need.
Well, Jen, thank you so much for talking to us. We got a little bit of the history over on this side. We've got some mercantile art action happening on this side. That's what CoastLife is all about. The best things you can find on Delmarva. Stay with us.